What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys watched the last video, I did mention I had parts coming for the Mercedes and they are in, so I'm going to be installing them. The parts I'm putting on the car aren't exactly ones I would call fun parts. By that, I mean, I put car parts in two different categories. There's parts that you want to spend money on because it's going to improve the look or performance of your car. And then there's parts that you don't really want to spend money on because all they do is kind of like maintenance. You know they're essential, but you don't really want to spend money on them. Well, that's kind of what I spent money on. Now, I bought the Mercedes back in November. When I bought it, I knew that with 194,000 miles on it, it would need some things replaced. And when I test drove it, I knew it needed a wheel bearing. It had a little bit of a hiccup, but not that bad. But I've driven this car about 1,000 miles since I bought it. For the most part, it's been completely reliable. It started every time. It's never left me stranded or anything. But I know it needs some maintenance parts just to tune it up a little bit, make it run a little bit cleaner than it was. So that's what I'm doing today. I actually have a buddy that's a tech at Mercedes here in Omaha, and I gave him my VIN. He ran it through the system, and this car has not seen the inside of a dealership since the 90s. I don't know how well it's been maintained in the past, so I want to go forward with a good bill of health under at least my ownership. And here are the 4 boxes of parts that we open today. Just basic tune-up parts that you would basically buy for any car with this many miles on it and an unknown service history. This is a gear for the wiper. Got this, gonna replace that at some point. We got an idler pulley for the serpentine belt. So this is the dampener for the belt tensioner. We got a coil. Oh, we got a tensioner. That is my tensioner right there. New spark plugs. New wheel bearing, serpentine belt, spark plug wires, new distributor cap. Here's the new rotor for the distributor. So I have a cap and a rotor. And that is everything. Looks like that's all the parts I ordered for it. I thought there was more, but now that I look at all of them, nah, this is probably about right. This is about the right amount. So I'm going to install these parts today, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to answer the questions you guys asked in the last one for my Q&A session today. For those of you guys that have not seen under the hood of the Mercedes, this is what we're looking at. It is a 3-liter inline 6. After looking over the engine bay, I'm pretty sure most of the parts that I'm replacing today are either original or only replaced once. Hopefully this stuff will make the car reliable for thousands of miles to come, so I don't have to touch it, which would be great. All the ignition stuff, plugs, wires, cap, rotor, pretty easy to get to. It's right on top. There's nothing in the way. The thing that's going to be the biggest problem, I guess you could say, would be the belt tensioner. Belt tensioner is down that way, so I know I got to take this shroud off, possibly the fan because it's in the way, water pump pulley, and then I can get to the tensioner. I think that's how it goes, but we'll start digging into it and see what we can do. Guys, I cannot stress enough how nice it is that the hood on these things goes 90 degrees. So freaking nice to be working on stuff. Just taking the shroud and the fan off of the clutch has given us so much more space here to work with. I think a couple pulleys still need to come off, maybe the water pump pulley and then the, looks like power steering pulley. I think those two need to come off, and then I can get to the tensioner and pull that off. And you just got to get through a bunch of stuff just to get to what you're getting to. The reason I'm replacing the tensioner is this right here, damper for the tensioner, and it just kind of jiggles around. So I can't imagine the tensioner is really doing much of anything right now. I heard this noise, like kind of the rattling like this when it was at idle one day, and I popped the hood and I was like, oh. So I'm just gonna take off these couple pulleys, the belt of course, and then I should be able to get to the tensioner. Now I'm gonna answer a couple of questions. Like I said, working on the car today, not really all that exciting, not very fun parts going on, but I am gonna do the Q&A, so there is a reason for you guys to watch if you guys asked questions. So I'm just gonna go through a few of the questions, and then I'll move on with working on the car, so that way I'm at least a little productive today. Question is from Robert. Why did it take so long to start posting on your personal channel? Well, Robert, I don't really have a good answer for you. All I could say is I'm really glad I have started. I have a taste of what it's like to film the stuff and edit, and every single time I edit a video, I learn something new. Like a new feature I can use. I learn something new with every video that I put together. So that's why it's kind of like I enjoy making the videos and everything. Also, I didn't think I had time. I thought it would take a lot more learning curve to do editing and stuff like that. And honestly, I picked up on it really quick. I know my editing level is not high. And it's probably never gonna be. I'm never gonna be like a cinematic editor. But for what I do, I think I'm doing all right for my, I'm like half a dozen videos in. So yeah, I really don't have an answer for why it took me so long, but I'm glad I started, because all it really takes is to start. For a couple years now, I've been like, I'm gonna start, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna start. I never started. So at least I'm started. I can move on from here. Question is from Randall Productions. How long have you been a content creator, including 1320 video? Let's see, for my personal channel, a month, like a month. And then for 1320, I've worked, first event I ever did for Kyle was TX2K13 in March of 2013. First event I ever filmed at was in 2014 sometime. I can't really remember what event it was, but sometime in 2014 is when I started filming. So what are we looking at, 7 years? Content creator for 7 years, if that's what you want to call it. Let's see, question from Kenneth Atchley. What's the plans with the Corvette? My whole goal with the car is to make it so I could drive it. I could daily it if I wanted to. I just wanted that kind of like just dumb reliability that I can get in it, drive it, start it. If all of my other cars are broken, I could rely on that to be a daily. Now, of course, I don't want to drive it in bad weather or anything like that. That's never going to be the plan, but I want it to be that kind of reliable where I can get in it any day of the week. If all the other cars are broken, start it, drive it, have no questions it's going to make it wherever I need to go. Whether it be across town to the 1320 warehouse or to Kansas City, that's 3 hours away. I want to be able to drive that thing anywhere I would be able to drive any of my other vehicles. That's basically the goal with the car. I'm sure I'll do some fun stuff with it at some point, maybe some performance mods, things like that. But for now, just dumb reliability like I could daily it. Alrighty. Well, I answered a few questions. I'm going to get back into taking this apart, take out a couple pulleys, and yeah, keep going. Power steering pulley. Serpentine belt. Water pump pulley. Moving those few things made a lot more space right here. Shouldn't be that much more, and I should have the tensioner out and hopefully installing the new one without too much trouble. I also got an idler pulley. I'm pretty sure it's the ribbed one right here. I'll go ahead and replace that while I'm at it, while everything's apart. Other than that, everything else looks pretty decent. There we go. Got the tensioner. Well, this was the main part I needed to get to. And it really wasn't that bad, just a little time consuming. Obviously these parts are all shot. And before I put the new tensioner on, it's dinner time and I'm gonna go wash my hands, eat, answer a few more of your guys' questions, and then head back on the car. God, it gets dark out quick. It really gets dark out quick. Alrighty, dinner break and more questions. So, Zachary Bost, what's your favorite trip you've made for any car event with or without 1320? God, that's hard. That's really tough. It really depends on like street stuff, track stuff, international or not. It really depends because there's a lot of awesome trips I've been on. The only international trip that I think our full media crew was on was Brazil. I think it was Brazil 2019, and that was freaking awesome. The food down there was awesome. The cars were awesome. The culture was awesome. The guys at Fuel Tech really went above and beyond to treat us like we were family. Other than that, I went to go do a supercar tour over in Dubai. That was every day. I had no idea what I was going to do before I landed. Even like 12 hours after I landed, I still had no idea when I was supposed to be where, what was going on, what I was filming. I had no idea. So it was really stressful right up until they handed me the keys to a McLaren 650S, and I was like, what? And they said, this is your rental for the week. I was like, oh, what? Like, I was blown away. That kicked off one of the most ridiculous weeks of my life. Spending a week over in the UAE, going all around the country, in a 650S that they just gave me the keys to. So much fun, met a lot of cool people, got to see some awesome things, stayed in the most ridiculous hotels I think I'll ever stay in my life. Basically, I got paid to fly over there and just have fun, which was so awesome. I love that trip. But other than that, like Sweden for street racing, I don't think you can beat that. Don't think you can beat that at all. Australia was awesome. There's so many good events around the country even that are just awesome to go to. World Cup, TX2K, just so it would honestly be hard to pick one trip, but there's just a few right there. Jonathan Cantu, what's the story behind people calling you Bud? Okay, so my buddy Beaterbomb, aka Joey, he calls me Bud in interviews, and one time I said something about it on camera, and our editor saw it, and they decided, let's just make this a thing. Let's just leave this in the video and make this a thing. Ever since then, people call me Bud. And why I don't like it is it's like, to give you an example, like if you're in a restaurant and some teenage kid is your waiter or whatever, he comes over, he's like, everything good, Bud? I'm a grown ass man. Why are you calling me Bud? It's like saying, hey, sport. Like I don't care if you mean it in the best way possible. You don't mean anything by it. When you call a grown man Bud, I can't get past it. It just annoys the shit out of me. I get called it all the time now. People just, hey, Bud. Yeah, I get the joke. It's funny. Ha ha ha. I just frickin' hate it. What old school Mercedes would you get? Budget out of the question. It would actually, he said, if it's not Slang 500s, what are you smoking? I mean, he's not wrong. Slang 500, if you don't know who that is on Instagram, I'll throw a picture of some of his builds up here, but I'm pretty sure the Mercedes that he's built, like the gull wings, are a reproduction. But oh my goodness, would I love a car done by him. Any Mercedes that he would do, I would love it. I'd frickin' love it. A gull wing Mercedes for sure. Evo 1, Evo 2, I would take any of those cars. There's honestly a lot of older Mercedes that I would rock the shit out of. Fred, what's under the hat? Can we get a full breakdown on the hair? I've been asked this a couple times that I don't really realize it, that I wear a hat like every frickin' day, and you guys have probably never seen my hair. I don't wear a hat because I'm bald, I promise. Check it out. So I have hat hair pretty bad, but I do have hair, like a lot of it. I'm considering my uncles on both my mom and my dad's side are pretty much all bald. I'm pretty fortunate to have the hair I do. Also, my brother has hair like I do, and he's like 40. So right now I'm looking pretty good in the hair department. Dream car if money was no option. I've answered this question a lot, and I get the same answer every time. There is no dream car for me. It's a dream garage with several cars in it. I couldn't just pick one. I'm not satisfied with one car right now. I have 4, and I'm not rich. So I would have to pick a stable of dream cars. All right, well, I'm going to eat my dinner and then go back out and keep working on the car. But those are the questions so far, and I'll answer a few more later in the video. All right, so the old tensioner is out. I think I'm gonna take this time to put in the new idler pulley and then the new tensioner and then move on to the ignition stuff. So far, so good. Everything's coming apart pretty well and I haven't broken anything yet. So fingers crossed, I can keep that thing going. There we go. There's the idler pulley. This is the new guy. That's the old guy. Okay, we are good to go. Well, sorry, I thought I was recording and I wasn't. New tensioner is in there. I'm just gotta line up the bolts and bolt it in. New tensioner damper is good. Now before I put all the other stuff on, I'm gonna do the cap rotor plugs because it's right here and I already have the shroud off and all that. So this is the inside of the cap right here. As you can see, there's a little bit of corrosion on each one of those points. There's the old rotor. That's where the connection would have been made with the points right there. And it's a little discolored. Old and busted. New hotness. Got the old coil, which I'm pretty sure is original to the car. We got the new guy right here. All right, unfortunately, the camera died and I was on a roll, so I didn't go inside and grab another battery, but all the new spark plugs are in, spark plug wires are in, cap and rotor are on, new coil is on. So I gotta put a couple pulleys on, the fan, the shroud, and wrap it up. Since we're at a stopping point right now, I'm gonna go ahead and answer some more questions from you guys. Let's see, James Engel asks, what's the power plant in the Vet? Well, it is a 327 small block. I believe it was a 365 horse out of the factory. I mean, it has like an Edelbrock intake. Was it like a 750 carb? It's not like souped up or nothing. It's pretty much stock, and I have no idea when the last time the engine was refreshed or anything like that. It does move. I mean, it's probably the quickest car I have, which isn't saying much, but it works for what it is. Mitchell Ord. Hey Fred, have you ever considered building a drag car of any level? Thanks. Honestly, I love drag racing. Obviously, I film it like every single weekend for my job. And I would love to have a drag car someday. It's just not in the cards right now. All of my stuff is low and slow. It doesn't break. It doesn't cost me a lot of money. If I ever had a drag car, I probably wouldn't be able to work for 1320 because I cover drag racing every weekend. There'd be no way I could race and cover drag racing at the same time. It just wouldn't work. All right, authentic original. Question, I met you at Cletus Cars Houston, and I was wondering if you liked it when people stopped you and asked for pictures, and if it gets stressful at times. Plus, you were super kind when I stopped you from getting water. I personally don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. You guys that watch our videos are literally the reason we get to do what we do. Like, if you guys didn't watch our videos, I couldn't travel the world and film race cars for a living. Of course, I'm gonna stop and take a picture. I'm gonna sign whatever you want. As long as I have time, I will do so. So if you ever see me at an event and you're wondering, oh, there's Fred, I don't wanna bother him or anything, it's not bothering me. If it doesn't look like I'm on my way to interview somebody or I'm recording a race or anything like that, stop me. Stop me and say hi. I have no problem with that. Literally, you guys are the reason I get to do this for a living, and I couldn't be more appreciative of it. I'm just a regular car guy, just like you guys. I just have a really cool job. All right, now I'm gonna put those pulleys back on and the belt, and we should be getting wrapped up here in not too long. So that's exciting. Pulleys are on. So now all we have to do now is, I guess, put the belt on, and we're done. Is that right? Well, put the belt on, adjust the tensioner, then I can fire it up. Make sure I put the spark plug wires in all the right places and all that. As you could tell, it is the next day. I was going to put the belt on, and to move the tensioner enough to get the belt on takes a 6mm Allen. I had one. I just didn't have one on a socket to make it like actually useful for doing that type of thing. And it was late enough in the night, I was like, you know what, I'll just go get it tomorrow. Well, I got back, got the tool, belt is on. I gotta put the fan on, the shroud, and then I should be good for today. But I think we are ready to fire up. The belt looks all aligned everywhere I look. Hopefully, it was all put together correctly. Looks pretty good. I'd say that worked. It fired right up. It's not making nearly as many noises as it was. The tensioner was completely screwed, so everything needed replaced there, and it seems to be doing great. New belt, cap, rotor, wires, plugs, tensioner damper. It was a good little tune-up. Hopefully that means this thing's gonna be reliable for me for a while. It is like a 30-year-old car, so I do expect some things to go wrong, but hopefully none of those things that I just replaced. All right, we're gonna get to the last questions that you guys had. Where's my phone? There it is. Phil, what's the burnt windshield in your garage from? That's actually kind of a cool, unique story. I think it was one of Duck's races in 2016, and a C7 Corvette went down track during testing, went up in flames. The next day when we pulled into the pits, I knew exactly where that car was pitted. I kind of wanted to go look at it. They put the car up in the trailer. You couldn't see anything, but they left the windshield out under the trash can out in front of their pits. Obviously, they couldn't fit it in the trash can, so they just put it under the trash can, and I was like, well, that's kind of cool, so I grabbed it. This is like one of the only things I've ever taken from a race, but it was obviously that it was pretty obvious that they didn't want it anymore. It was under a trash can, so I grabbed it. It's kind of a cool piece to have on the wall. It's from a Radio vs. the World, like 3-second badass machine that unfortunately went up in flames at one of Duck's races in 2016. Ricky Riggleman. What first got you into cars? Everyone's got a story. First of all, the Corvette was actually my dad's way back in the day. He bought it when he was in his 20s. When I was growing up, I played with cars all the time. I loved cars. Went to car shows with my dad and then with my brother. My brother was into cars, so it was kind of like just kind of in the family type of thing. And when I got older, I just never grew up. Loved cars forever. I still love cars. It's my job. It's my biggest hobby. It's basically kind of my whole life is surrounded in some way around cars, which I think is cool as hell because growing up, I just liked cars. That's all I knew. I loved cars. I liked cars. That's all I wanted. That's still all I know, but I'm just a bigger kid now with cooler toys. 212 Media. Where can I send stickers for the garage door? Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I will message you after I get done filming this and talk to you about it. If anybody wants to send me stickers or anything like that for my garage door, you guys are more than welcome to hit me up. I will give you an address to send stickers to, whatever else you want to send, and I will put your sticker on the door. Colton Simon, how did you get started with 1320 video? That could be a whole other video I could do, but I'll do like the abridged version. How I got started with it is we're just car friends. Like I just hung out with Kyle because of cars before this, and then he just, because I was a car friend of his, he's like, hey, do you want to come to this event? Sure, I'll come help out. I'll sell a t-shirt, I'll do whatever. And that's honestly how it started. I loved traveling. I loved seeing all these badass cars. I made sure that if there was a weekend I thought Kyle might ask people to go, I would be one of those people, I can go, because I loved doing it, and I still love doing it today. It's literally a dream job. I get to travel the world, see some badass cars, meet some awesome people, and have some super unique experiences. That's how it all got started. I could do a whole video on that later of how I got into 1320, and that's kind of the abridged version right there. Alright guys, well I think that's going to do it for the video today. I got what I wanted to do on the car. I might tackle, I probably won't. I was going to say I might tackle the windshield wiper gear, but I'll probably wait for next week for that. We leave for a trip tomorrow, and I kind of want to edit this video up and pack and all that stuff. Just a quick Q&A and watching me work on the Benz, nothing too exciting. But I want to do these Q&As maybe once a month, maybe once every couple months. So be on the lookout for more. If you guys have a question in mind, you didn't ask it, or you didn't know to ask one in the last video, keep it in the back of your mind. I'll probably do these relatively often, once every month or once every couple months. So with that being said, thank you guys again for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when I'm dropping the next video, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.